Okay, so tonight's topic is about the second most important thing, and this one is twofold. The second most important thing that you can have in your professional life, in your career, in your life overall, is integrity. And the definition of integrity is twofold, which is why I say it's twofold. It's got two pieces. So, integrity means being consistent in character and thought, but it also means integration into the whole. How well do you integrate into the whole? So, if a person is lacking integrity, for example, um, let's say you have an arrangement with them, you have a business arrangement. And this was one that I just read about today, where a certain younger man loaned a more established businessman $4,000 and said established businessman refused to pay him back. And this is not the first time that we've seen breaches of what we would call integrity. In that first aspect, it means that your walk matches your talk. If you are a person of integrity, what you say you are going to do, you actually do. It means consistency. It means people can trust your word to mean something. It means that you follow through on what you say that you're going to do. You keep your promises, those sorts of things. So, second piece, integrity. This one's a little more difficult, but it has to do with how well you integrate into the whole. And by that, I mean a organizational aspect. Do you understand your part? Do you actually follow through on your part? Because very often in some places and situations we have agendas, we have motives. And I'm not saying that agendas and motivations are bad things, actually. Everybody has them. If you do not have an agenda or motivation, you're not going to go anywhere. Um, so inherently, we need to disconnect that notion that motives and agendas are a bad thing from being, some sort of connection. If you don't have a motivation, if you don't have an agenda is a specific thing that you're trying to achieve or a specific way in which you're trying to do it, which can get out of hand, especially if you're insisting on having only your way, then that's a lack of integrity. When you've worked with other people and there's an established path and everybody has to be cooperative, integrated, working well together, working on the whole, focusing on those things, and moving in a coordinated fashion like any team, like any good team. Sometimes there's bad teams. Thank you both. If all the pieces aren't moving together and one person is off doing their own thing, that's a lack of integrity. Now, here's the challenge. We often try not to say things to people because we don't want to stir the pot or rock the boat or be confrontational. If someone is doing that, how are you to correct them on their lack of integrity? I don't know yet. Can think of a lot of really socially and politically incorrect ways to do it. Can think of public ways to do it. Now, private confrontation, that's probably the best place to start. Sorry, the dog is really loud. So, confrontation. How do you do good confrontation when people don't have integrity, when they are not correctable, when they are not doing what they ought to do, what they said they would do, or what they're supposed to do, when they're not being obedient to what's been established as the plan for the team and moving forward in that? Well, the first thing is to politely remind them of their part and frequently. Put it in writing. So and so agreed to do this, or so and so was assigned this. Yep. The other portion is when you begin to correct them, it needs to be done privately and it needs to be done from a hey, we had agreed on this thing. or I didn't really understand why we had done this other thing over here, which was not quite what we agreed on. Can you help me understand what you were meaning by this? We want to call out inconsistencies. I would prefer a world where we can call spades spades, and we can call people who are lacking integrity such. But unfortunately, that's a reality of the world that we live in, is that we've grown so blind to it. And over time, as we start to push back on that and ask, do people's walk match their talk? And believe you me, nobody's walk is going to match their talk. Definitely not mine, not 100% of the time. We strive, and we have to be correctable, we have to be corrected from time to time. And sometimes we have to fail and know we failed and experience that disappointment or that shame for what we've done in order for it to mean anything. So, be that as it may, second most important thing is integrity. And integrity has two definitions. One is the measure of how well your words and your actions match, and then the other being how well you integrate into the whole. Are you obedient to the direction given to you, even when it sucks, even when it hurts, even when it's the last thing that you want to do? Are you willing to set aside your agenda for the greater whole and seeking integration into that whole? Because that's integrity. So, until then, have a good night and stay out of trouble.